Jama, blessings everyone. And today, as I teach verse 21, today is Deepavali, and many blessings on the festival of light. May light always be victorious over our inner darkness. May we let go of our fascination with darkness, and we shall find that light is the only truth. Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. In fact, our entire human journey is a heroine's journey to the discovery of that light, that essence of truth. And until so far as we believe in the samsaric appearances, we are caught up in suffering. But there comes this pivotal lifetime, as clearly all of us are experiencing that, where very different paradigm shifting, pattern breaking, ignorance annihilating knowledge makes its way to us. It finds us. The teacher, the platform, the book, the podcast, the circumstance, all that becomes incidental. This is all orchestrated by Ishvara, outside us, within us, everywhere, to seize us up and change our vision from samsaric to atmic. And today, verse 21 that we are exploring of Bhaja Govindam is a pivotal verse. In fact, you ask an average Indian of the age of my father, who has grown up with these teachings as being part of the general conversation, then the one verse that they will remember is this verse 21. This is the verse that most signifies Bhaja Govindam because it provides us the kernel of our samsaric journey and how we are trapped and how much suffering we experience in it. And in these short verses, we come to learn of the whole setup, the whole trap, and that we have to make an effort to get out of this samsaric prison. So let us begin with chanting that. I recommend you open the texts that are provided to you. I will chant it twice, and I would suggest you chant it the second time with me so you get to be familiar with it. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Hare Pahi Murare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Now you chant with me. I will chant first, and you chant the second line. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Again. Punarapi Jananam. Punarapi Maranam. पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे again इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे. It brings tears to my eyes. कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे. Murari is Govinda, Ishvara. Kripaya means please. Pare means take me across this treacherous ocean that is swallowing me with every wave. Pahi means protect me and support me. Punarapi jananam. Janama means birth. Punarapi means again. So born again. Punarapi. Here I am, born again. Punarapi marana. Marana means death. Death again. So this punarapi, this again, this sense when you say to yourself, born again, there is a knowingness within us, a deja vu. We've been here, we've done this, we've run, we've chased, and we died, and we were born again. Punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Born again, died again, again to curl up in the mother's womb. So what did we do? We curled up like this in the fetal position, which is very uncomfortable. Once again, we queued up. Why? To be born again and to die again. Then back into the mother's womb, waiting, born again, to die again. This is the first really hard-hitting line. Then, iha samsare, this samsara, bahudustare. Very difficult to cross, very difficult to deal with in a day-to-day basis. Life is unpredictable and impermanent, betraying us, disappointing us, and taking away everything from us. It takes away our youth, our loved ones, our comforts, our beauty, our health, our sense of esteem. We are just reduced to pathetic creatures. If we die early, that is, we feel die disappointed. If we die late, we die deformed, helpless, reduced to mere shadows. All that we know is dead, and we are waiting for death. So, bahu dustare, very difficult. Here, this samsara, bahu dustare. Kripaya means redeem me through your grace. Kripaya pare means take me across to that, not take me across to another birth, only to stack up in the womb and to be born again, to die again. I don't want that. Take me across this ocean of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. To where? To eternal life, to eternal oneness with you, to stop having this mindless, meaningless. I mean, it must be having a meaning. But to me, it is meaningless. And to me, to us, it is indeed painful. There comes a time when one doesn't want just to be more comfortable in samsara. One wants an exit. And so it says, Kripaya pare pahi murare. This is a very poignant verse. And this indicates to us this basic, there are two kinds of samsara. One is in the mind. Because of this, the ocean of suffering in the mind. But this ocean of suffering in the mind is why? Because samsara is defined as janma, birth, marnadi rupam. Janma, marna means death, rupam means it is the feature, its main features are birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. We may change the body in which we are born, male to female, to blended gender, to animal, to plant, but everything dies. We may change the location. It may be earth, it may be below earth, it may be above earth. What's the big deal? We get very fascinated with, oh, where next? How does it matter? Within samsara, everything ends only to be queued up again to start all over again. So Janma Marnadi Rupam. Rupa means form. It is of the form of Janma Marna. Birth, death. Samsara. That is what is samsara. And even in our own life, how many times we feel like we have died and born again, then died, then born again. Every night in deep sleep, it feels like we die, and every morning we wake up again, deja vu, same thing. And no one over the centuries has been able to comprehend it, understand it, change it. We need divine intervention. Why? Because this samsara is not, it's not easy. Even the happiest people, the most famous of people often commit suicide or slash their wrist or OD, overdose, or are depressed, miserable. So wealth doesn't take care of things. Having a big family, you can be lonely and alone in it, and often we are left alone in it sooner or later. So this death has been described, this life, this samsara has been described by Shankara in a prominent text by him, Viveka Chudamani, in its verse 36. And it goes like this. Durvar samsar davagni taptam dodhuyamanam durudrishtavaataihi भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाहि मृत्युः शरण्यमन्येदहं अहं न जाने. What does it say? Once again, there is this yearning, this pleading that occurs to this nameless, fameless, nameless, faceless God, Murari, Govinda, Krishna, which can become any God for us or no, none at all, remain abstract, but cannot be denied. It's in every um, particle of this universe, seen and unseen. This This lament comes through us, a soul once in a lifetime, which says, save me from yet another death and birth. Afflicted as I am with um, the unquenchable fire of this world like forest. So the seeker imagines samsara as a forest, a dark forest in which we are lost, and that too, it is on a fire. There is a forest fire there. So we are running from tree to tree, trying to save ourselves. Have you ever felt that? And on top of that, so shaken, this forest with fire is being shaken violently by winds of misfortune, one thing after another. There are periods of lull, I agree, but those periods of lull also one cannot take for granted. Any moment, anything can happen. And then the seeker says, I am terrified from within and from without. And then, O Lord, O Ishvara, Sharanya, I come into your refuge. Bhakti is the only refuge, the only refuge. Jnana tells us that our only real relationship is with God, because everything else is part of the samsara setup. And that is why we put the teacher outside the samsara setup. So to say, this is, if there is one body showing me the way out, then this is Ishvara's agency. And yes, samsara is also a reflection of Ishvara, but it is a shadowy reflection. It is a reflection that I cannot understand from inside it. Many people say, Shunyaji, explain to me why. Why is all this going on? I want to know the setup. See, you cannot know the setup. When you are dreaming, you cannot understand why you are dreaming. You have to wake up from the dream. Then you understand. Oh, I see, I'd fallen asleep. My senses had fallen asleep, so they didn't have any reality markers, but my mind was still active, so it imagined its own world. Oh, I see. This is how it was all functioning. And the mind has vaults of memory from this lifetime, other lifetimes, because the mind is traveling with me from death to birth, death to birth, death to birth. So it sees characters, it knows intimately. But this current ego of mine doesn't remember. But these are all in the library vault, right there. Some of us see God, angels, guru, teacher in our dreams. Yeah, because you've met them in other lifetimes. You know them. So we don't understand dreams until you have jnana and until you have woken up. In the same way, we cannot find refuge. We cannot understand it unless we go into the refuge of bhakti and jnana. That is why in this verse 36, poignantly, Shankaracharya represents some of us who are now ready to wake up from this most terrifying nightmare of birth. I didn't even say death, because death is a given. A baby is born and looks very cute because it has had a macabre, ugly, distressing death shortly. And anything that is beautiful and youthful and joyful is on its way towards becoming the opposite. So there is an allegorical story in the tradition that I want to share with you, and tell me if this makes sense. This is our life. Because in Bhaja Govindam, we have been constantly lifting the veil to see the reality. And albeit it's ugly, but at least it does not sell samsara to us. Now, new, refurbished, brand new, beautiful. If you just drink this energy drink or have this protein shake, you're going to do all good and better. No, it doesn't work like that. So, in this tale, this ancient, timeless tale told over thousands of years to Vedanta students, now you receive it. There's a man who took an evening walk by the side of the forest, and somehow he found himself in the forest. And the sun began to set, the light started fading, and to his dismay, he found that wild, terrifying animals were gathered on the side towards which he was walking. And then those animals started threatening him and following him and chasing him. And so he ran deeper and deeper into the forest. He didn't know where he was going. He was going because it was all just survival at this point. But unfortunately, the direction in which he was heading, thinking he's going to get an exit, he found a really scary witch standing in front of him with open arms. And these witches are not cute, and these witches in the Vedic tales are really dark characters. And so this is not the witches of Hollywood and Bollywood. These are the real dark characters, evil characters with evil intent. And so now if he goes this way, it's the wild animals. If he goes this way, it's the witch. So he runs helter-skelter. Now he loses his direction, and now he must just run. And as he's running, he runs over a ditch, a deep ditch that is covered with a vine hanging from a tree. So it's covered up with a vine, so he couldn't see the ditch, and he fell into it. The vine had pretty flowers, but he fell into it, got entangled in the vine, and he fell into it. But the vine entangled him, so he couldn't even fall. He was just hanging upside down with his legs up and his head down. Yeah. After first, he was so shocked, he was numb. But then, as his senses returned, he thought, well, let me make my way. At least I'm not hanging down. Let me go down and then climb back up. But then he saw that there was a snake at the bottom, standing with his hood open, waiting to just take a bite at him. So he's like, oh my goodness, I must just go back up. But he saw that two mice had appeared, one white and one black. And they started nibbling at the very branch from which the vine was hanging. So it was not long before he would fall and the snake would get him. And then to confound his problem, some wasps gathered and they began stinging him on his face. And this was his precarious situation. Can you imagine if you've ever been bitten by a wasp? It's excruciating. And they wouldn't stop. They would bite him wherever they could find any open surface. But then, interestingly, this man for a moment smiled. He looked happy. Why? Because from the branch that had begun to hang down, a bee's hive was just stationed right above his head. And in that strange, awkward situation, a few drops of honey fell to his mouth area, and he started pulling his tongue out and enjoying that honey and thinking, yum, yum, so good. Oh, nice. And so he had, for a moment, forgotten the animals, the witch, the snake, the mice, the wasps, the darkness, the forest, and he was happy. The person in the story may appear distant to you and me because he is He lives inside a story that is 5,000 years old. But this person is ever present in you and me because this is you and me. We walk in life confidently for a while, taking a walk, evening stroll, with the animals who show up suddenly and begin chasing us represent diseases that appear sooner or later in life out of nowhere. And they harass us until death. The witch represents old age that is just waiting with a toothless smile to embrace us with every moment. It's waiting. The snake at the bottom of the pit is the inevitable death that awaits us. The white and black mice that are nibbling at the branch that is holding us represents the passage of day and night, which are which we think are quite comfortable, but they are steadily coordinating to reduce our life and bring us closer and closer to death. The branch will fall. The snake will bite us. The wasps that are stinging us in the face are like the innumerable desires that are constantly arising in our mind, which remain unfulfilled and hence cause us pain and distress. Because when we are in this life hanging upside down, we're not comfortable. We are distressed. Nobody needs to distress us further. We're distressed from within. We are dissatisfied. And the honey represents those tiny bits of sensual enjoyment, a packet of chips. Nice. This is the life. A sliver of cheesecake, a warm body to touch and make love to, a sleek piece of clothing on a silhouette that now we can own and wear. You know, just this transient tiny bits of pleasure amidst all this. That's our life. And the average, when we are samsaric people, and we've all been there, we are busy keeping account of those moments when we could enjoy some honey. And we decide how our life is based on how much honey we have in the middle of all this going on. So this is samsara. And in this samsara, let me tell you that our programming is such that we have two basic designs. And this is very important. This is my teaching to you. The basic design that we have, and you might want to write this down. One is freedom from pain, dukkha nivriti, it is called. Dukkha means sorrow, nivriti means freedom. One, whatever is bothering us in samsara, we want to be free of it. Just like this person kept, every time he encountered a problem, he ran. So we want dukkha nivriti, that's one programming. And what's the other programming that we want as samsaris? Sukha prapti. Sukha means happiness, prapti means achieving it. So we want to avoid pain and maximize on our happiness. If you look around, the 7 billion humans on earth, that's what we are doing. Actually, all animals are also trying to do that. They're trying to avoid pain, trying to be maximally happy in their own way, whatever that happiness means for them. And that is what we are doing. Now let's talk about the first one, the programming to escape pain. So how do we do it? We fight, we flight, we freeze, right? We even fawn, we seduce people. We do whatever we can to escape pain. So we have developed all these mental uh, coping mechanisms to fight, flight, freeze, fawn, to avoid something, to escape it. And how do we escape it? Let's watch some more media. Let's browse on our phones some more. Let's watch some YouTube some more. Let's just mindless. We're not even using these platforms to learn. We're just escaping. Let's buy more. Let's eat more. Let's talk more. So we've all become experts at escaping. What? This situation that's going on. So we just want to be anyway, but, so that's just our situation. If we use alcohol every day, we want to add a few drops more to our glass. If we are foodies, that's a nice way of explaining why we overeat, but one more cookie, one more candy, one more this, one more that. So just escape, escape, escape. And for some people, even what modern people call yoga, which is all asana, is an escape. So excess asana, and excess exercise, all this is escape. But the whole purpose of yoga was not to escape samsara, not to escape from the mind, but to transcend the mind. But that's all forgot. Let it be. Instead, in yoga, we try to understand the mind and understand its characterization of samsara, with samsara. This, what we are learning here, is pure yoga, by the way. Anyway, then some people have figured out, let me sleep. Sleep is the best way, and I would agree. Sleep is a really great way to escape from samsara, because in samsara, the ego becomes, for just few moments, it wraps up closest to the Atma, the self. There is no suffering in dreams, no suffering in waking life. So we are just for a few minutes completely calm, and we all need that. However, unfortunately, it ends. It doesn't last more than a few minutes a night, the true sleep. What do we do? So what we have understood is that our dukh prapti shenanigans planning is not working. It's not working. Now let's look at the other one, sukha prapti. I have mentioned this earlier, that there is a difference between I am happy momentarily through my senses and I am happiness through the discovery of your deep, deep, deep nature. So while we are seeking sukha or happiness through our senses, the next high, the next experience of the tongue with food or the skin with another skin, we're constantly grasping. What we really need to do is to go deeper, all the way to this ego, all the way to a place where the forest, the animals, the witch, the, the mice, the wasps, and even this dangling honey, all of it becomes revealed as the props of a mental game that's going on. And we step back from it. What if that person stops enjoying honey for a moment? Stops being happy for a moment and stops trying to run away from all these things for a moment. What if this person just stops participating, starts seeing what it is, that none of it is real. This is all a kind of a super delusion that is operating as long as the mind believes it. And what if that person closed their eyes and went in? When they would reopen it, something would change outside. What if this game had no button outside? What if this game and its macabreness and its degree of intensity could only be when you stop playing, when you stop running from what doesn't work for you, and when you stop trying to grasp what you think will give you relief? What if you simply, what's called as being, you simply went into a state of being? This is what is true yoga. This non-participation is the true Sakshi. And this is where this very important Gnan, this knowledge that you are receiving inside this jungle of samsara, that's why this is such an incredible moment of receiving Bhaja Govindam and you showing up continuously for it, either online or in person. And this is where the key to all of this is what is Ishvara. Because we understand later that this was a big evolution moment for us, this whole thing. And this is where we say to Murari, which is another name for Krishna, Govinda, Vishnu, Ishvara, we say, Pahimam, Pahimam. Pahi means protect me, save me. So in many verses of Bhakti, you will find Pahimam, 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 Pahimam. It's almost like, what if that person stopped and just went inside and said, Pahimam, Pahimam. So you've appealed, you stop acting, reacting, knee jerk, but you reach out to that higher intelligence. Remember, Ishvara is not a person. Ishvara is not a god dressed in Hindu clothes in the Hindu heaven. Ishvara is the cosmic intelligence beyond this setup. And so when you say Pahimam, Pahimam, you're appealing to that cosmic intelligence. And because it is set to dwell inside you in an invisible, passive kind of way, it starts awakening. So what if you lost the fear of the snake, the death? Then you wouldn't worry so much about death. That's a big change to begin with. So it all starts happening at a cognitive level. You stop being afraid. So then you don't need to run. So then you don't need to be so desperate. And then you can actually find sukha of a continued basis, which is your very nature. That's why we chant to Govinda. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we come across this verse, Namaste Vasudevaya. Krishna is also called Vasudeva, the son of Vasu, is the name of when Krishna took birth as in his human avatar as Krishna. When Ishvara came, his father's name was Vasu. So Namaste Vasudevaya Sarvabhuta Kshayaya Cha Rishikesha Namastubhyam Prapannam Pahi Mam Prabhu Pahi Mam. Once again, Namaste Pahi Mam. So, O son of Vasudeva, we bow to you. We bow to that cosmic intelligence within whom all living beings reside. So whenever we are addressing Krishna, and sometimes we go into Puranic lore like son of this and but it doesn't mean that, because right away the next sentence is within whom all living beings reside. So now Krishna is the matrix of creation, is Ishvara. And O Lord of the mind and senses, we offer you our obeisance. Please, Pahimam, please protect us. We are surrendered to you. Why? Because we are trapped in the ocean of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam. So we are trapped in non-stop experiences of suffering coming to us, and non-stop we are seeking happiness, but then we come back with more clutches of unhappiness. Temporary happiness is also unhappiness. We find moments of respite, but then we cannot escape too long, and death is chasing us. We know that even if we give up and we just curl up and die, so what? We'll be born again. You are my only refuge. Grant Pahimam, grant me protection. So there is, thousands of names for Ishvara and thousands of names for Ishvara's avatar or Ishvara's deity. 1,000 names of Ganesha, 1,000 names. And each name is full of power. So there is this bhajan that is actually part of the movie industry in India, but it's a very popular one. And it's coming to my mind, so I'll chant it to you. And it has all these names of Vishnu. So we have Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. And then the next verse is Pitra Mata Swami Sakha Hamare. Pitra means father, Mata means your mother, Swami means your master, Sakha means your buddy. So you are all this to us, which means you are my sole relative. From a technical perspective, I am alone in samsara because everybody else is just as bitten by the wasps, as afraid of the snake, as fallen into the ditch, as, running from the witch as anyone else. These are just mere shadowy reflections. So you are my father, mother, master, buddy. पितु मात स्वामी सखा हमारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा. So Krishna, we know this name very well. Govinda. Govinda is another name for Vishnu. Govinda. Govinda is, go means senses. Govinda means that intelligence which is beyond our senses. Govinda. Hari. Hari comes from that which is supremely magnetic. These galaxies, these universes, these parallel universes, they're all moving in a certain order towards Hari, that central power that acts like a divine magnet. And Murari is one is he destroyed a demon called Mura, and he's also the player of the flute. So he plays the flute. Ishvara plays the flute. And all of us are listening to some silent flute. That is why we are going through the verse, the words of Bhaja Govindam. These are not pleasant teachings. These are not teachings that are telling us how to manifest what we want, attract what we want, become rich when we want. These are not teaching us all that. But we are listening to another tune. That is why known as Hari. Nath. Hey Nath. Nath is a sampradaya, but Nath is also, we call Ishvara Nath. Nath means master, divine master, spiritual master, not corporate master or big boss master. Nath means the 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 overseer, the benign overseer. And Narayana. Narayan is another name for Vishnu. Narayan, Nara means living being, and Narayan means the one who dwells in every living being. Narayan. Vasudeva. Vasudeva now again, Vasudeva. Vasudeva has a couple of meanings. Vasudeva, when we say, it means son of Vasu, which is more of a story-based name. But Vasudeva also means the Lord of the universe. It has a more abstract name. So all these names remind us of our relationship with Govinda. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Govindam bhaja mudamate samprapte san nihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukkana karane. Now the first verse makes even more sense to some of you, because you are understanding that the grammarian was busy memorizing Sanskrit grammar at a ripe old age, and Shankara found him on the streets of Varanasi, engrossed in trying to be a master of a grammar. Instead of trying to understand grammar, Shankara shook him with his teachings to say, try and fall at the feet of Govinda. And what it means is, let go of your intellectualization of spirituality. Whether you know Sanskrit or not, whether you know Latin or not, whether you know the Hebrew language or not, there is some greater truth that dwells beyond books, beyond grammar, beyond all kinds of intellectual, physical, mental pursuits. And that is the love of the greater being, the greater supreme self, and which is the same as within. And you want to move towards that. And that is why in Bhaja Govindam, we are continuing to have, it is known as Moha Mudgara. It is a hammer that is chipping away at our delusions. And so in case you saw samsara as nothing but, every April there are flowers everywhere. Oh yeah, beautiful. There is a place and time to romanticize earth, but there is a place and time to know that all these flowers will die and rot, but then have to be born again. And that these are all souls trapped that are showing up. So when I walk out into my backyard, and I talk about my backyard a lot because I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours daily taking care of so many potted plants and trees and other things, to actually water them myself. And when I walk through those rows and rows of pots and water them, I pray for their mukti, for all these living beings in these bodies. We are walking around and these are transfixed in pots. I am helpless, made helpless by my government, my culture, my society, and these are helpless based on my whim of whether I shall water them or not. And my dog follows me around as I water them and chant to them and tell them to wake up. And he too is a great being stuck in a dog body. And so the human body, animal body, the plant bodies all of us are each other's support system in samsara. But our fate is equally tragic. In cold, we all feel cold. In hot, we're all hot. Come this summer, a lot of my trees and plants dried up and withered, despite my watering them. Was I pleased for their death? Yes, okay, escape from one life, but am I sure they won't pop back again? In some trees, some plants, some mouse, some animal, some human, again. Back again to deal with birth, aging, change, decay, disease, death. Birth, aging, decay, disease, death. And that is why I shall continue on verse 21 again in our next session on this special satsang, because it is also Diwali. May this light that simply fixing things in samsara does not make samsara's setup go away. This is where the journey to yoga is really crucial. And it begins not by exercising the body on the yoga mat. That is only one part of an 8-part regimen, which is part of a 4-part journey. So it's a very narrow part. The real setup is unlocked through jnana knowledge, which you are receiving, and through bhakti. There is a surrendering to that higher cosmic agency. Whether in happiness, question that samsaric happiness. And whether it is suffering, do not let that samsaric suffering touch you so much. If you have healthy relationships, the blessings of a teacher, a reasonably, decently healthy body, be grateful. None of it need last in samsara. Anything can change. Be grateful for whatever is helping you to wake up and get out. And in the process, have compassion for all those who are leading stupefied lives in samsara, running from what they are afraid of and chasing those few drops of honey. With my blessings to each one of you, may the light of Diwali light up your consciousness. Many blessings. Jai Ma. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a teacher to all of you who show up live and those who join me later and leave comments and send messages. The transaction of knowledge in samsara makes all of us a little bit closer to moksha, mukti, freedom. Jai.